Ladies and gentlemen, we're live. Craig Kinsey live out of my element, the spoof talk show where I come to you out of my Honda element. All right, folks, today we have an awesome show. We're going to do cottage time. You'll find out what that is in a second. We're going to do ready, not ready for the chat discussion. And we're going to have our special guest, Mr. Mills McCoin. If you've ever been to River Revival, you know Mr. Mills. And if you've been anywhere around Houston, you know Mr. Mills. And well, I'm not going to say that. It's a live show. All right, folks. Now, listen. I like to start it off with a monologue because this is a spoof talk show, but I don't have any jokes. Here's the closest I've come to a joke to kind of fill the monologue space, and we're going to see how it works. I'm going to try to say it very deadpan. A church opened its doors for service, although we've been asked not to save lives. Is this a modern version of snake handling? I guess God has to have his children embarrass him in public too. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much for the monologue. Thank you, Mills. Thank you. All right, so the chat discussion is, how many are ready to have their normal life back? Ready, not ready. That's what you can talk about in the chat as I talk to my buddy, Mr. Mills McCoin. Are you ready or not ready to have your normal life back? Maybe some of you are enjoying time off. I don't know. All right, Mills, just chill. We're about to bring you on, but I'm going to do a little segment here I call Cottage Time. Now, Mills, I don't know if you know, some of you may know if you've been watching, that I am staying in a cottage in a small town in Texas. So I've got two pictures of my cottage time. The first picture is right there. See that little guy outside the window? Got a little Texas armadillo out the window there. And then the next picture, I'm going to show you my workspace as I'm at this cottage. All right, let's flip this baby. Ladies and gentlemen, this is my workspace in the cottage. I'm actually going to be writing at a desk, but that's where I do my thinking. That's my thinking space. All right, everybody. Don't you love a good cottage photo? And that's an airplane right there. Maybe we can fly it. We'll find out if we can fly that thing someday. All right, folks. That's been cottage time. Now coming up is one of my favorite people, and I'm glad to have him in my element, Mr. Mills McCoin, and let's just bring him on. Let's just bring him on. Well, let me lift you up here, Mills. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Mills McCoin.
Good morning, America. How are you doing?
That's my first question, Mills.
Ow, that's hot. That's hot.
What are you drinking, Mills? What are you drinking?
That's coffee.
Oh, wait, what do you got there?
Way too hot. A little ice.
Is that tea?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, Mills, let me ask you something. As you get your morning ritual going, we all have our morning rituals.
They're more drastic these days.
I would guess so, yeah. By the way, as you know, we're live. And the exciting thing about live is anything can happen.
That's right.
The other day we were playing, I was doing this, and some guys came up with their leaf blowers. And they surrounded my car and were blowing the leaves on my car. Like, wow. So I'm in a parking lot here, and anyone can come up at any time. And that's, I want you to be ready if that happens, because.
Yeah, heads on a swivel, everybody. Heads on a swivel.
So look, how is your life different? How are you in quarantine? Are you in quarantine?
Yeah, I'm quarantine casual. Yeah, I wouldn't say I've enjoyed it, but it's not been. I think I'm rather privileged in sort of being able to enjoy being isolated.
Yeah.
Solitude. Isolated sounds really like it's punitive or something. But
right.
Solitude sounds romantic and like you're on some type of journey.
Yeah, that's what we called it. That's what we called it in the monastery. You're going into solitude.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna have to change that.
So look, I wanted to bring you on because the last show I did one with my friend Annie Whitebread, and she's just as cute as a button. And then I've done a show with Hank Shima, whom you know, and I've done a show with Tifa Tiddlywinks, whom you know.
Indeed.
And my friend Samilla, who's a amazing filmmaker. But I realized that the show needs some sex appeal. The show was lacking. The show was lacking real sex appeal. So I hope you don't feel used or anything for me bringing you on.
Using me as a casting director to find your next guest who might have sex appeal, I don't feel used to it. Yeah, no, I think we can work this out.
Do you have any ideas?
Oh, are you talking about me?
Yeah, dude.
Oh!
Do you have any ideas for my next guest?
I think Alec Baldwin's pretty good.
Well, the thing is, I was going to do him, but Jimmy Fallon already had him. I guess you.
Oh, Jimmy Fallon was my second suggestion.
Okay.
All right.
So here's what I want to know. Now you're a comedian, and I don't really know. I mean, I've laughed occasionally hanging out with you.
Yeah, it's been it's not a totally rare occasion.
Yeah, and you've hosted River Revival. You've also hosted 1-2 of my shows.
Yeah.
I think you hosted my CD release party.
I did. Yeah.
So I'm going to ask.
The Splice Records debut, sort of, I think. But
it might have been. I know it was at Fitzgerald's, which is now a parking lot.
Yep.
I thought it would be funny to get a group together and do a show in that parking lot, just like a surprise show.
Yeah,
just like
30-foot tall plays that parking lot on Christmas Day night. That'd be pretty awesome.
Yeah, just show up with Joffrey and some of the boys and just play a show in the parking lot, a half-hour show until the police come or something.
That sounds really, really awesome, and I hope you're not like messing with myself and the millions of people that are watching right now.
Yeah, we've got 3 million watching.
3? All right. 2 of them are my mother.
So, all right. So, just a question. Do you have any favorite comedians?
Eddie Izzard and Robin Williams are the ones that, like, they're the blueprints, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I love everything about Robin, and then Eddie Izzard, just how he crafts his subject matter. It's pretty cerebral, I guess. A lot of it's historical, and so I like also the snotty British attitude is really awesome.
Yeah, one of the jokes I remember from him is talking about putting a flag down in a country. Like. Yeah. I guess the other folks didn't think of that, you know? You didn't know you could just take over a place by putting a flag on it.
No, yeah. Oh,
Cunning use of flag. Yeah. My favorites, since you're asking, are...
Can I guess? I bet I can guess.
No, I bet you... Go ahead. Let's see.
Okay. Brian Regan.
Actually, okay. Yeah, I'll say he wasn't in my mind, but he's a go-to guy.
Yeah.
And for any crowd.
For sure.
You can play Brian Regan for your mom, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I literally have done that very thing.
And then, but my favorite is Patrice O'Neal.
Oh, the late great Patrice.
I mean, he's a comedian's comedian.
For sure.
And the way he handles a crowd, because, you know, my big thing in the stage show is handling the crowd.
Yes. Your skill level is expert at that.
Thank you. So,
your skill level is Mick Jagger and Robert Plant.
Yeah.
You got it.
Thank you. This thing is on. Good. Yeah. But Patrice O'Neal, man, comes out and goes straight in the audience's face. And just it's amazing in what he's able to do. So listen, what was your favorite show to host that you've ever hosted? Remember what show you're on. Remember whose show you're on right now.
Yeah. Okay. in that case, I'm going to be extremely diplomatic with a dash of narcissistic. I'm going to say all three Mills McCoin rock and roll circuses were my favorite.
Oh, okay. I'll go with that. I'll go.
Diplomatic. Very diplomatic. Very diplomatic.
Yeah. So,
actually, I mean, to totally be honest, River Revival is really kind of amazing because it is 3 days long, and you get to meet everybody, and doing it, year after year, it's really like going back to camp, and
yeah.
And over the years, it's felt less like I'm emceeing a show, which is a very specific thing. And it now feels more like I am like just the public address, like that. If there's any movie like where a summer camp is the setting, there's always like this telephone pole with a speaker on it, and then there's like someone speaking and giving the daily updates. That's what it feels like at River Revival, and I think I like it so much because it's just kind of a departure from regular.
Oh yeah, it's going to camp. And if you guys want to look at my other videos down below, I have one called The Meaning of Words Repent, in which I talk about the meaning of that word in regards to River Revival and going back to camp. But dude, speaking of camp, have you ever seen the movie Indian Summer?
Indian Summer with John Cusack?
No, it's I don't know the names, but I think it was an 80s movie. It's worth checking out since we're all in quarantine. We're trying to find good movies. Indian Summer is a movie in which a bunch of middle-aged 30-something people are brought back to their old childhood camp by the camp owner to have the one last final hurrah of his camp. And so they open the camp just for these few 30-something people who used to go to the camp when they were kids. And they have humorous activities amongst them. Let's just say that. It's worth watching. Indian Summer. Have you been binge watching anything since you're in quarantine?
No, I haven't, because actually, I mean, I've watched a lot of comedy specials that were on my watch list that I had not. I mean, like probably a watch list of stand-up specials from a year and a half, like really behind on it. Yeah, but those I have been. Tom Segura was one. I rewatched Dress to Kill with Eddie and some others. But it's the binge watching thing. Like right now, I feel like it's a little like if I could use my time at all productively, it would be like I almost look at playing on Instagram as a little bit more productive than just for me personally sitting and watching.
Understandable. Yeah, like I've said on this show before, I've pared my life down to where I only have one show that I watch. I watch a show called Critical Role, a bunch of nerdy ass voice actors playing Dungeons and Dragons, and that's the only show I watch, dude. So and that show's been canceled because of the it's a live stream. The show's a live stream, so the only show I watch. So I end up not watching anything.
Yeah, okay. So,
yeah, but I'm trying to write a novel, so good deal,
Speaking of novels, I want to get back to our pre-show conversation about the music, those time-honored films, one specifically being Willy Wonka.
Okay, yeah, so you said, let me go ahead and load up my song for the day. Our special musical guest today. Our special musical guest is going to be the National Symphony Orchestra with music by Charles Strauss. I'll play that in a second. Let's just play it right now and introduce and see if people can guess what it is. I guess that kind of gives it away. That's one of the best songs ever written. As I've told you, I love that song, and it's a super well constructed song, and it's just amazing. We'll put these guys over here in the background while we talk. So you like the Willy Wonka songs?
Yeah, And you know what? I think a good example of movie slash musicals is that some of them, like Annie, for example, and Willy Wonka, they don't have just one song that's amazing. They have several.
Yep.
And I feel like today's musicals, like Frozen's got "Let It Go" and the Casey Musgraves song, but it's like one song per movie. And whereas back then it was like you just load it up.
Almost like 1950s albums. You have one hit song.
Yeah.
Or The Gambler by Kenny Rogers. Have you ever listened to that album, the whole album? Okay, that's something you've got to do. The Gambler, we all know that song.
Yeah.
It's an amazing song. And every other song on that album is astonishingly not as amazing. It's worth checking out, dude. So anyway, we used to do some of those Willy Wonka songs. Mainly it was Joffrey. And we would play at the Chocolate Bar in Candylicious.
Oh wow.
And we would do Joffrey on his banjo, and then the gut bucket bass and everything. We would do like Pure Imagination and Golden Ticket. Yeah, Candyman. Yeah, we would do all those songs.
I've got a golden ticket.
Don't mess up my show, dude.
I've got a golden twinkle
in my eye. Do you know who else has done that? A couple of those songs?
Harry Connick Jr.
Exactly. Amazing album called Songs I've Heard. Yeah. So if you guys haven't checked that out, check it out. Also, if you haven't checked out Jimmy Fallon's At Home show, The Tonight Show at Home, that's what inspired me to do this, because when I saw that show, I felt a release from all the fear and pressure of everything that's going on with this quarantine. And I wanted to share a little bit of that with our kind of Houston, not just Houston, but our music community and River Revival, and just have like our people do a little show. And that's what gave me the idea for coming to you out of my element. So I thank you, Mills, for being on. Is there anything you're doing that you want to talk about, or is there anything that's troubling you, or any news comments before I let you go?
Well, no, not I
covering.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what leapt to my mind, and there's a story attached to it, which there's usually always a story attached to Sideshow Tramps medicine show stuff. We did twice. We did Sweet Caroline. And looks like the way we would do it, we never rehearsed. So I would run through a song with the guys before the show, like in the parking lot or something, whatever. And we'd be like, all right, you know the song, here's a weird change. Let's try to make it happen. Because we were not trying to produce a show. We were trying to produce like a live art project craziness,
Right.
So anyway,
rage.
Yeah. So anyway, the first time we did Sweet Caroline, Helios was packed, and it was amazing. Like, it's one of my great memories, because of course everyone goes ba 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 together, and we did it at a portion of the show where everyone was already in ecstasy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For those who are watching who've never been to one of the Sideshow Tramps medicine shows, you don't know what we're talking about. But we had the crowd was already in ecstasy, and then we come in with Sweet Caroline, and just okay. But then the second time we decided to do it, I had been kind of seeing a girl named Caroline, just kind of hanging out, and she came to the show the next time, asked us to redo it, and she brought her parents.
Oh my God.
It was, but
how did they handle the benevolent bedlam that it folded?
Here, I don't remember, because here's what I remember. The second time we did it, we totally messed it up. It was horrible. And usually we didn't just totally mess stuff up, and if we did, we were able to roll with it. But this, we just totally messed up. the air went out of the building, and I just remember that girl looking at me with such hatred. Like, wouldn't talk to me. I was disgusting. And I was like, look, it's just a song. Sorry, we messed it up.
Oh, Craig, you desecrated Neil Diamond in front of her parent.
Yeah, and it was her name. So yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
That's the memory that leaps to my mind. What's the other question, friend?
The other question is, if you could necromance 3 deceased musicians and you bring them back to life at the age in which they died in 2020, in a world now overrun with a virus, what 3 musicians would you bring back to life?
Well, I'm just going to tell you who leapt to my mind because we're on live broadcast. First thing that leapt to my mind was Django Reinhardt.
Okay, yeah.
I just kind of would like to see the dude play with 2 fingers.
Hey.
In front of me.
I don't think that's a lot to ask.
I'd also like to see him play with Kelly Doyle, and my interest would be watching him play with my friends who actually are good guitarists.
Right, and then have studied his works.
Yeah, Mike Whitebread, to see Mike Whitebread play with Django. Whitebread goes to Django Festival. I think anyone does. Whoever it was who made like the Phrygian Mixolydian scales and then did ancient Greek music, like the people who would play. Oh, a Honda Element. I rarely see an Element in this town.
Whoa.
That guy's in his element.
Yes, and you are in yours.
Yeah. But this is coming to you out as I live out of my element. But anyway, whoever wrote that early Greek music where they would go out into the woods and dance around fire and they would do this crazy, wild, ancient Greek music, I'd love to have one of those guys, masters, come back and just show me how they did the music and what instruments and all that.
Yeah, okay.
And then the next is Johann Sebastian Bach. Yeah,
the guy in Motley Crue or whatever.
yeah, and I didn't know. Did you know he had died?
No.
Yeah.
I didn't. I mean, I assumed Johann Sebastian Bach had died, not the dude from Motley Crue.
Yeah.
I would assume everyone in Motley Crue.
That joke just went all kinds of twisted because it's not actually the guy.
That's a twisted sister joke. What?
Oh wow, nicely done, Mills. Nicely done. I think we should end on that. That was for those who know. For those who know that 80s guy Bach, whatever his name was, and for those who know Twisted Sister and Motley Crue, and that was a beautifully executed joke. All right, Mills. Hey, dude. We're going to let you go back to your coffee and tea or whatever it was you poured in there. And thank you for being on my show, dude.
Hell yeah, man. Hey, y'all be safe.
All right. Thank you, friend.
Later, dude.
Well, guys, that's been the show. Hey, look, I want to thank Mills McCoin. I want to thank YouTube for making this possible. I want to thank all of you for watching. I want to thank Mickey D's for letting me borrow their Wi-Fi. And all you guys, stay safe. Listen to the rain falling around your car and your house. Be at peace and be still. Let's end this thing. Thanks, guys. Bye.